You don't actually think too much. At least, not in the way people say. You've probably heard it before. Just stop overthinking. Relax. You're making it bigger than it is. But what if the problem isn't that you think too much? What if it's that your brain doesn't feel safe enough to stop? Let me explain. Think about the last time something small happened. Maybe someone replied a little differently. Maybe they took longer than usual. Maybe their tone felt off. Most people notice it and move on. But you go back to it. You replay it. You zoom in on every word, every pause, every detail. What did they mean by that? Did I say something wrong? Are they upset with me? And before you even realize it, you're stuck in a loop. That's overthinking. But here's the part most people miss. Overthinking isn't random. It's not a personality flaw. It's not because you're weak. It's a strategy, a very intelligent one. Your brain is trying to protect you, because somewhere along the way, you learned that small things aren't always small. Maybe a small comment once turned into a big problem. Maybe a small mistake led to embarrassment. Maybe a small shift in someone's tone meant something deeper. So now, your brain scans everything, not to hurt you, but to prepare you. Psychologists call this threat sensitivity. Some people can brush things off easily. Others feel everything more intensely. Not because they're dramatic, but because their nervous system is more alert, more aware, more tuned in. And when your brain is wired like that, it doesn't ignore details. It studies them. That's why you notice things others don't. That's why you pick up on subtle changes. That's why you can read a room without anyone saying a word. But that same awareness comes with a cost. Because once your brain detects something, it doesn't just move on. It loops. You replay the moment, then replay it again, then again, but slightly different. What if I said this instead? What if they meant that? What if this leads to something worse? This is called rumination. And here's the tricky part. It feels like progress. It feels like you're solving something, but you're not. You're circling it, over and over again. And the more you loop, the more real it starts to feel. Now add one more layer. Imagination. Most overthinkers don't just think more, they imagine more. You don't just consider one outcome. You build entire scenarios, full conversations, future conflicts, worst-case endings. And your brain doesn't fully separate imagination from reality. So even if nothing has happened yet, your body reacts like it has. Your heart speeds up. Your chest tightens. Your mind races. You're not reacting to reality. You're reacting to a possibility. And that's exhausting. But there's something even deeper going on. Most overthinking is tied to one core fear. Judgment. Not physical danger. Not survival. But social risk. What if they think I'm weird? What if I said something stupid? What if I embarrassed myself? Because for humans, being rejected used to mean something serious. So your brain treats it like a threat. And overthinking becomes your way of staying safe. You analyze before speaking. You replay after speaking. You prepare for conversations that haven't even happened. Not because you want to, but because your brain is trying to protect your image, your identity, your place in the group. And if you go even deeper, you'll often find perfectionism hiding underneath it all. You don't just want to respond. You want to respond perfectly. The right words, the right timing, the right tone. So instead of acting, you hesitate, you delay, you overanalyze. Because making the wrong move feels worse than making no move at all. And that's where overthinking turns into paralysis. You stay stuck in your head while life keeps moving. Now, here's something that might hit a little differently. For a lot of people, this pattern didn't start recently. It started early. If you grew up in an environment where mistakes were criticized, where emotions weren't always safe to express, where you had to think carefully before speaking. Your brain adapted. It learned, think first, think more, think again. Because thinking became safer than reacting, safer than feeling, safer than being wrong. And over time, that became automatic. Now you don't even choose to overthink. It just happens, like a background process you can't turn off. And here's the part that confuses people the most. From the outside, you look calm, composed, maybe even quiet. But inside, there's constant movement, questions, scenarios, analysis. Your mind is working non-stop, which is why overthinking is so draining. Because even when you're doing nothing, you're doing everything internally. And that kind of mental activity has a real cost. Fatigue, stress, difficulty sleeping, disease.